welcome back. It's day 3. And today we're going to look at some tools and techniques to really get you going and clear out the things that we don't want and anchor in the things that we do want so that you can have that foundation, that really strong taproot, so that you can learn to love yourself. So this is the Learn to Love Yourself Challenge. I'm Paloma from Betterment, Better Me Natural Transformations. Let's get right into it. Yes, so some tools, some tips, some techniques. So there are so many things that you can do. One thing that I would recommend doing is, in addition to having that running list of the things that you like about yourself, is to take some time to think about the things that are important to you, to think about the qualities that you have, the things that you love to do, the things that you enjoy, and really analyze what that says about you. That can give you lots of great material to work with. So for example, if you love to dance and you are a good dancer, or you just love dancing, okay, what does that say about you? What kinds of qualities, if you were thinking about someone else, not you, what kinds of qualities does a dancer have? Dancers have to have good memories. They have to be strong. They have to be creative. They have to be flexible. They have to really listen. They have to have good listening skills. They have to have a lot of different skills, right? So what of those qualities do you have? What are those skills do you have? So what are the things that you love to do, the things that you know that you're good at, that you can do successfully? And what do they say about you? Give it a try. You might be surprised at the things that you see and the things that you learn about yourself in that exercise. Another thing you can do is to think about the things that are important to you. What do you look for in other people? Do you have those things already, those qualities? If you look for someone, you want someone who is honest. Are you honest? Usually, when it comes to those kinds of qualities, we look for the things that we like, that we try to do. And of course, we don't always succeed in doing everything perfectly. That would be nice. But sometimes we do succeed. So keep a list of those things. Start to think about those things. Yeah, think a little more deeply about some of those things. Another thing that you can use is to think about some of your best experiences, your best years in your life, the best relationships that you've had, the best jobs that you've had. Why were they the best? What was good about them? So for me, one of my best years was when I was 7. And when I was 7, I felt comfortable with myself. I felt comfortable in my life. And I had the best teacher ever. I loved my 2nd grade teacher, Mr. Zink. He was amazing. So Mr. Zink, in the way that he organized his class, taught me something really profound. So he had a special time, I don't remember if it was each day or each week, that he would separate the class into 3 groups. And one group was just your kind of average student. Then there was another group for students who needed help. And there was another group of students who didn't need help. They were advanced. They were above average. And the kids who needed help were not stupid. He never allowed those kinds of labels. These kids are not stupid. There's nothing wrong with them. Maybe they didn't have a good foundation, right? Maybe they didn't have the benefit of learning something that you did, so that this is a little more challenging for them. Maybe they just don't like math, and that's why it's hard for them. Maybe they don't like language. Maybe this isn't their language, their first language. And so that's why it's difficult. So because I was painfully shy and I rarely spoke, he just assumed that quite fairly, really, that I needed some extra help. So he put me in the group of kids who needed help. And he quickly realized I didn't really need help with the material. I understood the material. And I actually was then moved to the advanced group. And that was fine. Intellectually, I understood it all, not a problem. But socially, I was way off. Socially, no, I didn't have the social skills to be able to be in that group. So I didn't fit anywhere. Now, that experience, if he had just left it there and plugged me into the average group and then left me alone, I might have felt really horrible about myself. Like, I don't belong anywhere. There's no place for me. I can't do anything. I could have felt awful, but that's not what he did. He put me back into the average group and he gave me a special assignment. My assignment was to sit with a young student whose name was John, and he was deaf. And my job was to help him, even though I couldn't sign. How I was supposed to do that, I don't really know. But we figured it out, and I learned a little bit of sign language, a really little bit. But I learned a lot about communication, and I learned that I love to teach. I love helping people understand things. I love it. It makes me so happy. I love that moment when you see someone, they didn't get it. They're so frustrated. They're so just exasperated. And then all of a sudden, something gets through and it pops. Their eyes light up. They get excited. You can hear it click. You can see the light bulb. That is one of my favorite moments in life, especially with children. But I love that moment when someone realizes something, when they understand something for the first time. So what does that say about me? What's a skill that I can develop, something that I can do, choices that I can make to enhance that, to focus on that, so that I can stay connected to something that I love to do, and so that it constantly refuels the love that I have for myself. I teach. I teach, and I love it. I absolutely love it. It's very fulfilling for me. I love teaching. So that experience had the potential, had the capacity for destroying my self-esteem. You don't fit anywhere. You're just not, yeah, okay, so you can understand this, but you can't do that. What good is that? But that's not how it turned out. Instead, it changed my entire life. So when you think back to your best year, to some of your best experiences, to your best relationships, who were you in that year, in that relationship, in that experience? What were your qualities? What were your characteristics? This is a really powerful tool, is to examine the past. Another really powerful tool is to visualize then the future that you want. So if there's something that you're not liking about yourself, you can create this new image and you can project that in your mind. And when you do that over and over and over and over, guess what you're doing? You are telling your brain, hello, this is what I want. So I want you to look for that. How does the algorithm for Google Ads work? Facebook ads, Instagram ads, whatever. How does it know that you've been shopping for thus and such a thing? Because it's paying attention to everything that you're looking at. Yeah? They're watching everything you're doing. How long were you on this page, and how long were you here, and what have you searched here? Yeah, what did you search for on your phone? What did you look at here on your computer, on your laptop? And it tracks all of the information. How did they come up with that idea to do that? It's what your brain does every day. Every day. Have you ever painted your house a color and then you notice everybody else has that same color house? They've always had that same color house. Maybe not always, but you know what I mean. They've had it for a long time. It's not new. They didn't see your house and go, ooh, let's do that too. Maybe they did, but probably not. Probably you're just seeing it because now your brain knows this is important to you. So when you visualize this thing that you want for the future, your brain knows it's important to you, and it is going to look for every opportunity to make you happy. So if there's something that you don't like, visualize it the way you want it to be. There's more work that goes into it, but it's one piece. If there's something that you do like, yes, and you love it, think about it more. Focus on it. Draw attention to it so that people notice, so that you notice. Draw attention to it. And the people around you will start to give you opportunities to do that also, to create that for yourself. Yes, perfect. So there's another technique that you can use is called EFT or tapping. And this is something that is a technique based on acupressure points. And it works very similarly to how you operate your smartphone. When you want to open an app on your phone, you touch the screen and it registers the heat generated by the electricity in your body. Yes. And then it does whatever it's been pre-programmed to do. So remember, we talked earlier about how your brain wants to make you happy. So it's going to look for any opportunity to do what you are focusing on, to find more opportunities to create more of that, especially if it creates a really intense emotion. If it makes you fearful, then it's going to look for those opportunities to protect you from them. If it makes you really happy, then it's going to look for more of those opportunities to create more happiness for you. So when you stimulate the brain to think about these things and to create that electrical activity, then it processes some of those emotions. We can go more in depth on this. There's so many videos and resources all over the internet. This is something I really, really recommend you do your own research. Make sure that you have a basic understanding of how anything works. And then decide if it's something that you're comfortable with doing. So with tapping, what you can do is, let's say that there's something that you are not comfortable with about yourself. You don't like it and you want it to change. Maybe you want to change a habit. Yes, maybe you sleep too late in the day and it makes you feel just not good all day long. You feel rushed. You feel like you're always behind all day. So you could even tap on something like that, because what we're going to do is encourage the brain to do some changes in how those neurons are wired. So if you're interested in that, we can do a separate tapping video on that. Let me know in the comments or in the Facebook group, and we can learn more. We can look at that a little bit more. I can teach you a little bit more about that. I am a certified EFT master practitioner, so we can certainly do that if you'd like. If there's something specific that you want to work on, let me know, and we'll do a little video on that here in the Facebook group. And the next thing is probably the most important, and the thing that I have used the most and that has been the most difficult for me to apply, and that is the change in language and how I speak about myself. So for example, if there's something that I don't like, maybe a habit that I found myself doing that I don't like, I learned very painfully, and it took a long time to change this habit, but I learned to say, in the past, whatever thing I don't like. In the past, I used to find it difficult to be on video. In the past, I didn't want to do this. In the past, I didn't like blah, blah, blah. So even though right in this moment, I might feel two ways. I don't like it, but I want to do it. I want to learn how to do it. I want to overcome it. I want to change it. Because I feel two different ways, I can only stand in one place. Yeah, I am only standing in one moment. And in that moment, I have a choice. So by saying, in the past, I blah, 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 I am making a choice. I am declaring to myself that everything that I'm not liking, it's in the past. It's done. It's over. We're making a different choice. We're doing something new now. So changing language like that is so incredibly powerful. And every time we realize that we're saying something not loving to ourselves, something unloving, something unkind, something hurtful or mean or sometimes really disturbing, honestly, we can stop ourselves when we realize it, yeah, and say, is there another way we could put that? And try and soften it. Yeah. Try to make it less harsh. Like, oh, that was so stupid. Why did you do that? You could do, maybe I don't want to make that choice again. If it was a child that you were talking to, how would you rephrase the same thing and give them new verbiage? How would you do that for them? So, for example, when children whine, I don't do whining. So when children whine, I say, oh, do we whine? No. Okay. So instead of, I want that, could you say, could I see that? Or how about you could say, oh, may I try it, please? I'd like to try that. That looks cool. Could I have a turn? So how could you rephrase the things you say to yourself? We did, that's so stupid. What about, I can't do this. I don't know how to do it. What about, I'm still learning. I need to learn a little bit more about this. In the moment, out of context, it sounds cheesy right now, and it sounds silly, and it sounds kind of stupid, maybe. Yeah, but let's reframe that. Maybe it's just different. Maybe it sounds cheesy or it sounds stupid because we feel that we don't have the right to say that to ourselves. That's a scary thought, but we do. We not only have the right, but we have the obligation to say those things to ourselves. Because if we change the things that we say to ourselves, it makes it a lot easier to edit what we say to other people. And then we have better relationships with other people. And then we're happier and we enjoy life more. And so do they. So all of these things have a greater impact outside of just making ourselves feel better. There's a lot more purpose to it than that. So these are some of the tools and the techniques and the practices that you can put into place. But the number one is to do at least one little thing for yourself every day. Maybe that's something simple like you go to bed on time. Maybe it's eating a good meal, making food for yourself, reading a book that you enjoy, putting down the cell phone and not spending as much time on social media every day, calling up a friend and saying, hey, can we get together? Yeah, there are so many different things that you could do to tell yourself, I love you. One last exercise that I want to review comes from a book by Cheryl Richardson called The Art of Extreme Self-Care. And this book was one I I took a day. I started several years ago. I started taking what I call an off the grid day. So this is at least one day a year where I just kind of disappear, and I don't answer the phone, don't answer texts, I don't do anything online. I spend that day with myself doing personal development exercises. I might read a book. I might just do nothing. I might just sleep and dance and journal and draw or whatever activity it is that I want to do. But I spend that day with myself, deciding how I feel about the last time since, or the time since I did this last, and what I want going forward. And sometimes it's a whole day, sometimes it's half a day, whatever it is. Sometimes I just will take an off the grid hour. But this one particular year, I took a whole weekend, actually. It was a traumatic year. There were some really big events going on in my family, and things were very stressful and difficult. So I took an entire weekend. And I took this book with me, The Art of Extreme Self-Care, because I realized I was not showing love to myself. I was not taking care of myself. I needed to reevaluate and change what I was doing. So one of the exercises in this book was to look yourself in the mirror, look yourself in the eye and say, I love you, Paloma. And it was so painfully difficult. I talked about this in the live video announcing this challenge. It was so difficult for me. And I realized in that moment that this is such a powerful thing. And that it's so important that it was something I was going to have to learn to do. So I would recommend the book for sure, but I would especially recommend that specific practice. Try it. Look yourself in the mirror and say, I love you. And see how it feels. Say your name and see how it feels. How do you feel? Do you believe yourself? Does it feel genuine? Does it feel comfortable? And the goal is that when you see your own face, your own eyes, and you hear your own voice saying your name and saying that you love yourself, that you believe it, that it feels just as heartfelt and comfortable and natural as when you say it to your spouse, to your parents, to your children, to your friends. That's the goal. It should feel just as natural, just as comfortable. And some days that's really easy. And some days it may not be so easy. But that's the goal of this entire challenge. That's the goal of all of these tools and techniques, is to get you to that point where you feel, yeah, I believe you, person in the mirror. I believe you. You're okay. I love you. And I appreciate the things that you do for me. Thank you. And that feels natural and normal and genuine. Then what happens if, or not if, when events in life maybe rock the boat a little bit? How can we maintain this? What are the things we can do to maintain this love that we have for ourselves? We're going to wrap all that up in the last video. So give it a try. Tell me how it goes, either in the comments or down below, or in the Facebook group. I love to hear from you and to hear your experiences and what you're learning and your insights too, because my hope is that The things that I share with you, some of them you may not know. Many of them you probably already know these things, but maybe you didn't think about them in this context. Or maybe your experiences in life are giving you a new perspective on these things that you already knew. But hopefully, they spark ideas of other things. And I would love to know your insights. I would love to know what ideas were sparked for you. Because then that sparks more ideas for me and for other people who read your comments as well. So thank you for doing that. Have an awesome rest of your day, whatever time it is where you are. And I will see you tomorrow when we wrap everything up.